All right. Good morning. Good morning. I am so excited to be here with Dr. Jonica Rowland. Dr. Jonica, thank you so much for taking the time just to be here this morning and be part of what I am so excited for is a really important conversation. It is such an honor to have you join me today.
Yes, I'm honored to be here. Yes, I am.
Yes. Well, I have had the pleasure of getting to work with you for, I think, almost close to a year now, which is so hard to believe. And getting to know more about you and your journey. And, you are just, I think if somebody looks at your LinkedIn and looks at you professionally, you're so accomplished. You are a financial consultant. You're a keynote speaker. You speak on minority marketing, corporate social responsibility. And I really wanted to have a conversation today in the light of everything happening in the world right now, which I think is so important. And part of what I'm excited for is your unique perspective on growing your visibility, specifically as a minority. And I think you've got a really interesting perspective, both from all of your academic research, as well as your own personal experience as you have grown your visibility and grown your brand. So why don't we start off with just, if you can share with us a little bit about your journey. And for everyone who's joining live, good morning. So glad to have you. We will try to have time for Q&A with Dr. Jonica at the end. So if you do have questions for Dr. Jonica, go ahead and type them in the comments. And I will tee us up with the questions. I see Eric is here. Hey, good morning. So glad to have you. So put your questions in the comments. But Dr. Jonica, go ahead and share with us a little bit of your own personal story of just growing your brand, growing your visibility, and what's gotten you to this point.
Okay, well, my personal story starts when I was a child. And so I have to bring in the bad, the good, bad, and the ugly. So I'll bring in the bad, good, and present.
Let's do it. Perfect.
Yeah, so as a child, I grew up without a mother because she was murdered when I was 10. And so from there, I had to learn how to develop trust in people and trust in myself. And then from there, I went ahead, completed college 3 times. I'm excited about that. And then when my children decided to go, I was like, okay, you don't have to go, but they decided to go. So it started from childhood. I knew how to set up my priorities, and then I became comfortable with myself. And then from the research, I learned that there's no point in having the research if we do not deliver the message and get the message out to those who need it. And when I met you, I was always doing Facebook Lives talking about health, because if we don't take care of our health, we will eat up our wealth. And then I've learned that, we need to get the message out on all social media platforms. And then with my research, back during the housing crisis, when we had the economic pitfall in 2008, I realized that some of my clients did not have to suffer from that. The retirees, many retirees did not have to suffer from it because they had sound financial concepts, and not everybody was just depending on Social Security. And so I wanted to research why some populations were prepared and why some were not prepared. And then I realized I'm completing a doctor of business, so I can't fall back on my applied sociology degree. I need to make this feasible for the business sector as well, and small business owners, so that they would know how to survive in crisis. And not only that, retire in crisis, leave their business behind if the family wants that business, as well as retire well and healthy. And my research led into corporate social responsibility, social responsibility. We as a community, we as businesses need to work together in this circle called life, almost like Lion King. And we need to work together to make things work and not leave out a segment of the population. And then for small business owners and financial advisors, if they leave out a segment of population, when times change, such as you got the book dummies for everything, okay? You got the book dummy for this, dummy for that, okay? So those who use those services from some small businesses and financial advisors may not think that they need the small business owner or the financial advisor anymore, because now you have e-commerce. So there's so much competition out there that people who do not realize their competition will not survive. Mm-hmm. And then those who are reaching all segments of the population, whether it be the male dominant segment, learning how to reach out to women, and then reaching out to Native Americans, African Americans, the Latino population. We're in the United States of America, and all of this formed America. So therefore, it is our responsibility to help people to understand that if we have a worthwhile product or a worthwhile service, we need to get that message out there, and then hopefully we can prevent, financial crisis as what's occurring now. Prevent, and I'm sorry about my but now I'm getting touched. Prevent the spread of disease as we're doing now. Some of these crises are occurring now because the proper message was not delivered. That message. How are you going to reach people to do the right thing? Whether it's law enforcement, whether it's our healthcare department, whether it's our bank, because there's so many people out there unbanked. Okay, so not everyone is going to know how to survive in these times by looking at the internet, because as you know, if you're not doing your fact check, there could be some drastic occurrence occurring. And you all seen the news, antiseptic, people are washing their skin with it now, disinfectant and whatnot. Somehow the message has not been delivered properly. And right now we should be in a bipartisan era, okay? Because we want what's right for all people. And small businesses have to stay in business. We have to stay healthy so that we can live longer. Because not many people know that it's longevity of our citizens. The longevity of our citizens are feeding Social Security. So if there's no one around to feed Social Security, how are we going to take care of our elderly? So it's a 360. We have to take care of everyone together as a community.
Sure. One of the things that I'm curious about from your perspective, because I think for any of us who are growing our visibility in a space, in an industry, there are challenges that can come up. There are criticisms that sometimes we hear. And I think as a woman, I understand what sometimes some of those fears and challenges can be. But I'm really curious about your perspective, specifically as a Black woman, growing your brand, growing your visibility. I had an intake from a potential client come in recently, and she said she was wanting to grow her visibility on video. And one of the things that she mentioned to me was, as an African-American woman, there are certain challenges that I face that I need support in. And what it made me think about was, I don't know what that's like. I just haven't had that experience. So can you share what your own experience has been and maybe any challenges that you have bumped up against or challenges that you've overcome specifically as an African-American woman growing your business and growing your brand in America today?
Okay. Well, first of all, I have a unique voice. So sometimes people try to picture the voice to my face. And then when I show up, some say you look exactly the way you sound, and some say I don't. Okay. So let's say back in my days when I was selling Mary Kay, or when I did cold calling for insurance, and someone would ask, who's on the phone? You know, mom, telephone, who's on the phone? I don't know, some white lady. Or someone may come out and say some black lady. Okay. So it's my responsibility to portray the character and the values that I have. We can't walk around saying we don't see skin color, we do not see race. But as a female business owner and as an African American business owner, we're forever trying to prove ourselves. Okay, we have to prove ourselves. Okay, and you can't prove yourself if you're not comfortable within your skin. Right. So right now I'm containing myself because I don't want to blow anyone away from all of my excitement. Right. But however, transparency is what have kept me online. Okay. With we cannot assume that someone who is not liking our posts do not like our information. We have to look at the whole picture. If you're not getting a lot of likes, it may be that someone's at work, which someone told me. They're at work, so they can't do a like because then their boss knows that they're at work. So from there is our responsibility to evaluate who we are, where we're going, and the message that we want to portray. If you see me at church, you see me at my house, at someone's birthday party, out in the mall, anywhere, I am acting the same. So that way, I don't have to sit around and then try to figure out, what identity I had on the last time someone saw me. Similar to someone saying, oh man, I got to remember what lie I told. So I can keep the story going. So transparency, being true to yourself, knowing who you are, even if your husband don't understand it, your boyfriend don't understand it, your children do not understand it, no one understands it, but you understand you, and others will catch up later. So identity, you have to understand your identity, and the research is out there. People want to know if you are authentic.
Right. Do you feel like, so I'm just kind of curious as a follow-up to what you shared there, do you feel like there is pressure that you can't be yourself and be successful? Is that something that you've bumped up against, or a challenge that you feel, is this something that you find sometimes you're thinking, or you think others may be thinking as well, as they try to grow their visibility? Like, I can't just fully be myself and still be successful in my business and the way I want to show up.
Now, I am determined to be myself, just as when someone goes on a job interview, they need to be their self. Don't code switch during the job interview, and then the person who's hiring, be true. It's a two-way relationship, okay? So now I don't feel as if I'm being hindered from being myself. I have to realize if someone cannot accept me for who I am, a brown-skinned woman, now senior citizen, if someone cannot accept
who I am,
thank you.
Looking great.
Shout out to all my coaches and you got it all in one pot. But anyways, as they would say, if someone can accept us for who we are, they have a problem with who they are.
Say that again.
Because if someone cannot accept who you are, they have a problem with who they are.
Wow. That's big.
Yes, because you cannot clone me to be you. In my research, I had to put white people in my paper, but the Caucasian population, we're in a big melting pot, as they would say, right? Cannot assume someone wants to assimilate themselves and be maybe white, uppity black, okay? You cannot assume if someone, African-American woman, is challenging you that we're angry. We're not angry. When a man challenges another man, they just tough it up, like a sport. So if a woman challenges a man in any way, a race challenges another race in any way, it's our responsibility as business owners and leaders to understand where they're coming from. No one knows my mother was murdered at 10. No one knows 2 years ago I lost my father and brother 60 days apart. No one knows discrimination my children faced in school, and I chose to be a stay-at-home mom so that I could be there for my children and other children. No one knows that, okay? So you can't assume by looking at the color of someone's skin that they are going to be an angry Black woman.
Yeah.
Yes. And you've shared your challenges, and I'm just transparent about mine. And I'm grateful that I still have customers from 2005, 2006. And then I still have friends from over 30 years ago before I got married. No one can assume that I'm a divorced, single parent Black woman. I do have to put this out there because I do love some humor. And Sean told me about my spunky attitude. He likes it. So let's say, for instance, I went to a retirement community, hopefully to relocate my late father from the Bronx, New York, knowing that he would just do well here in this beautiful climate and weather. And so I said, well, send my daddy the material. Send him the package about your facility because I love it. So my daddy receives the package. I'm on a business trip in Atlanta, supposedly enjoying myself. And he goes, since when does the parent get the last name of their child? She called my father too much info. George Rowland. I'm Jonica Thomas Rowland. His name is George Thomas, not George Rowland. So I guess her assumption was off. Needless to say, he didn't relocate, and she kept calling, and I was transparent. I said, you gave my daddy my last name. What were you thinking about? Or I could have ignored the calls. But if we do not have the conversation, we cannot expect change. And if we cannot be the change, we don't need to say anything at all.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, which is what I really appreciate about this opportunity too. And I think there is what is, to me, one of the beautiful things that's come out of just all of the craziness of the past few weeks has been just opportunity for conversations. And I think, one of the things that sometimes we take for granted, so I'll share a couple thoughts. One is I've heard some fear from some of my white or Caucasian counterparts of, I'm afraid to say the wrong thing right now. Like, I'm afraid to have a conversation because I don't want to say the wrong thing, which is on the one side, it's like, it's understandable. And then on the other side, I like how my mentor said it. She said, look, when you're first learning how to cook, you're going to mess it up. When you're first learning to play an instrument, you're going to play some wrong notes. We have to be willing to step up and show up and have the conversation, even if it's uncomfortable, even if we maybe don't say all the right things. So I appreciate just the opportunity to learn from you and to have this conversation. Another question I have for you, and then I want to open it up to questions from the community, is from your perspective, because you've done so much research into this, and you also have your personal perspective as well. What can businesses or companies be doing to bring more inclusion into their marketing and their messaging? For example, I had kind of an aha moment last year when I looked at all of my podcast guests, and I've been doing the podcast for close to a year, and I realized I think maybe 10% of them were African American. And it was not deliberate. It was simply the people that I knew. But that aha for me was I had not been deliberate in trying to bring more inclusivity into my guests and create greater diversity within my guests. So that was like a real aha moment of I was unintentionally leaving people out just because it wasn't even in my awareness. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, and even, any advice you have for me or anything you see in my own marketing, like that I can be doing differently or better. I'm totally open to, because I think we just all have to be willing to, we just have to learn right now. So Any thoughts on your end about how, whether we're a business owner, a salesperson marketing ourselves, how can we be more inclusive in our messaging and in our marketing?
Well, the big word is intentional. Choice architecture. That's the term used to make sure we're getting the correct message out there. And the message is, I know money is green. Okay. All of our blood bleeds red. But I'm not going to put you in a box. I am not going to assume that because you are from the North, you are mean and ready to fight all the time. I'm not going to assume that because you are from the South, you are slow. I'm not going to assume, and I have to use this term because we're being inclusive of all, that because you're from West Virginia, you are a redneck. I'm not going to assume that because you're from Africa or the Middle East, you want to be westernized. So we do have to go ahead and make sure we as business owners are approachable ourselves. And then we have to go out and be intentional about reaching different segments of the population. Okay, such as when I was approached by you, you know, I didn't say, what does this white lady want? I said, oh, I just love her personality. Okay. So you take people at face value, you look at their heart. When you invite them to the conversation, let them speak. Listen. No one needs to assume that they have all of the answers. And if we are weak in one area, we do not understand anything, we have to answer the questions. Okay, so take me as a PTA mom a couple of decades ago. Okay, I might be the only one in the room. Okay, but I still need to be approachable. And whether it's 100 or 200 people, I need to show up with my best attitude forward to let others know why you will want to have a relationship with me. Now, if we do not look at the color anyway, we start looking at the personality. We will not, as they say, click with everyone, okay? And you have to be comfortable with that, knowing that someone's not going to be your best buddy. They might just be a customer, but respect goes a long way. So when we look at people, we have to understand we all may have different blood types, but our blood bleeds red.
Yeah.
Okay. Our heart pumps. And we cannot live off our feelings because feelings change, values change over the years. So it's up to us to deliver the correct message and to take time to understand those we're trying to have relationships with, the people who we are trying to get to exchange those green dollars with. Well, now swipe with a credit card, but money. It's all about the exchange. What message are you exchanging with your population? What message are you exchanging in a philanthropic era? What message are you exchanging? Just as you're exchanging that money, act as if money have feelings, people have feelings, and you heard people say it's lonely at the top, right? And even now, a lot of people are feeling isolated because they were all into text and social media, and then maybe grouping different groups, but they did not expand their bandwidth. All their friends were either at work, outside of work, or if they can't buy from me, they can't be a friend. You know, you lost authenticity, so therefore you're isolated. And by those who are not aware, telehealth is available for mental counseling. So don't feel isolated, okay? Don't feel you have anyone to talk to. Be sure to contact your insurance company or to find out about telehealth or the mental health counselor, and they will let you know their fees. But do not think that you're alone, okay? When you can't get through a toll-free number, there's other help, okay? So the messaging is important. Choice architecture. How are you going to present the message? Okay? What are you trying to get people to say to you? And what are you trying to say to other people? The messaging. If I came in here, which we like to do, and I started doing all this and whatnot, you get the message. Don't go there, but that's not the message I want to deliver. I want to deliver the message that I'm approachable and I want to understand and I want to help you to understand. And that's why I became Dr. Jonica Rowland. We just don't want to do hearsay. We want to know the message that we want to deliver. What is your vision? What is your mission for inclusion? And when minorities get to the table, listen, don't just continue to tone them out, text on your phone, wait till your turn to speak, and then you forgot what they said.
Yeah.
Because you're assuming you have all the answers.
Yes, yes. One quick question, and then you and I have, this is so helpful, so thank you. We actually have a group coaching call at the top of the hour. So we've got like, I know, this is fun. Okay. So I see, so thank you everyone who's in the comments. Mallory asked, what advice do you have to support your colleges during this time? I don't know if you can give advice in 1 minute, Dr. Jonica, to support colleges, but I'm going to give you the challenge.
The advice for the colleges is for those of us who are skilled in online learning, those colleges need to reach out to the doctors and those who've already participated in online learning, hire us as consultants so that we can help your students to become comfortable with online learning in case the college cannot open. Hire the experts. Just because you're an administrator does not mean you're the expert. And you might not have time to look at all that research. So that's where we, the experts, come in to, as they say, to play, to share best practices and to close the gap on learning, period. Any type of literacy, because higher education is needed.
Oh, and Mallory actually just gave a correction. She meant colleagues, not colleges, although that was great advice for colleges. So for African-American colleagues, how can we help support?
Start your groups, have the conversation. Do not assume we don't have money to go eat at your high-end restaurants, okay? We just might not want to spend it. But invite each other out to lunch, call, have the conversation. Don't wait until a crisis to call. Start now. I've been working on this since the 80s.
Beautiful. This was, I so appreciate your wisdom and your generosity. And I know everyone who joined live today do as well. There's my alarm for our coaching call. But gosh, this was beautiful. Thank you so much. And I highly encourage anyone who's watching, connect with Dr. Jonica on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. You put out such valuable content that will be a really good continuation of this conversation. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you so much, Dr. Jonica, for your time.
Thank you. You're very welcome. I'm so honored. And remember, I don't bite, so reach out.
All right. Well, Dr. Jonica, I will hopefully see you in just a moment.
Yes, you will.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today, and I will see you next Wednesday, same time. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.